An ionic compound is one made up of a metal and a nonmetal. The metal is always going to be positive, and the nonmetal is always going to be negative when they are ions. So the metal is going to create positive ions or have positive ions. The nonmetal has negative ions. However, when we combine the two together to make an ionic compound, we should have the charges balance out, and we want to have an electronically neutral compound. So if we have a neutral compound, in order to get a neutral compound, we need to know how to get one. So say we start with sodium and oxygen. We want to make a compound out of these two things. Well, sodium is in group 1, so it has a positive 1 charge because it has one valence electron that it's going to give away. Oxygen has a negative 2 charge because it's going to need to take two electrons from something. Oxygen is in group 6, and because of that, it needs 2 electrons in order to have 8 electrons total. So what we would do is look at, if you want to look at a diagram of these, sodium has 1 valence electron to start with. Oxygen has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 valence electrons, so it's missing 2, it needs 2 valence electrons. Now, the problem is that sodium only has a +1 charge, oxygen has a -2 charge, so if we just put them together as sodium oxide like that, the sodium, the charge on the sodium does not balance out the charge on the oxygen. So we need to have 2 sodiums. The reason for that is now we have, if we have 2 sodiums, that gives us a +2 charge on this side, and 1 oxygen gives us a -2 charge on this side. +2 and -2 balance each other out. If you wanted to see what this looks like, you could look at it like this, that you've got a sodium here, and a sodium here, an oxygen here, and the oxygen has 6 electrons. Each sodium has 1 electron, so the sodiums are each giving an electron to the oxygen, and when they do that, the sodiums become positive and the oxygen becomes electronegative. So 2 sodiums with a +1 charge each balance out the 2 negative charge on the oxygen, and that would give us Na2O, which is sodium oxide. Another example would be if we want to make a compound from aluminum and bromine. Aluminum is in group 3, so it's going to have a +3 charge. Bromine is in group 7, so it is going to have a -1 charge because it has 7 valence electrons. So it only needs 1 valence electron in order to have the 8 valence electrons needed in its outer shell. So aluminum has a +3 charge, bromine has a -1 charge. So that means we have a +3 charge on this side, we only have a -1 charge on this side, on the right side, so we need to multiply the right side by 3 in order to get a -3 charge on the right side. Since we multiplied the right side by 3, the compound is going to be aluminum, Al, and then bromine, Br, but we need 3 bromines because we multiplied the bromines by 3 in order to get our neutral compound, and that would be aluminum bromide.